Hey guys, and welcome back to the shed. Today we're going to go over basically how to set up your Eco Worthy all-in-one controller, or any of the SRNE rebranded controllers for that matter. Anywhere from like the Renogy 3500 watt 48 volt to the SRNE all-in-one units, and even Midnight had a couple of them out for a while, but they don't have them anymore. I got one of them here in the shed. You'll see it throughout the video. I also got a couple Eco Worthies out there in different locations that they're all the same. They run really well once you get them set up right. Now that we're closing in on wintertime months and the days are getting shorter and the rain's coming more, and it's we're not getting the sun we want to charge them batteries. Folks are asking about well, how do I hook up my generator and get that going. This video is going to cover how to set up the settings, not for the contact, the dry contact for the auto start and stuff, just to be able to manually start your generator, so that if say you got your shop set up or something of that nature and you need to get out there and you haven't been out there in a couple days and the batteries are getting lower, you can just crank up the generator and charge up the batteries and have some fun in your shop. It only takes a couple settings to do that. You just switch over a couple things and you're up and running. It'll still run the PV during the daytime, and as long as the generator's not running or you're not hooked to like your mains power at your house or something like that, it'll never reach into it. It's not a bad gig, really. Now, I didn't use it last summer. I was using my summertime settings, and I think that I might try this setting this summer. I don't know. We'll see. See if it just continues to work like that. I don't want the controller to kind of like be looking for power that's not there, and that's why I had it set up to like PV only for my charging and all that stuff. So at any rate, let's go ahead and get this ball game going. Be a lot of fun. I got a couple charts in there you guys can take some screenshots of, and a diagram and all that stuff. Okay. Oh, and by the way, if it's not out already, pretty soon you're going to see a link in the bottom of my pretty soon you're going to see a link. It's going to be to my new product line, Solar Bear DIY. We're trying to be as budget friendly as we can with safe breakers and apparatus and accessories, bus bars, stuff like that, to keep the price point right and keep you guys safe out there. So if the website's not in the link yet, just hold on. It'll be out anytime. And take a look, please. I appreciate it. All right, let's get started, guys. Okay, so pretty much what we're going to be using is like a weatherproof box. It's got a threaded knockout in the back, and we'll cap the sides. That'll all go on the outside of the shed actually. And then we've got like this RV 110 volt or 120 volt, whatever you want to call it, RV outlet. I'll mount right to the top of that, and then that'll feed through the wall right here. We've got a hole on the inside, and there's a small hole on the outside. We'll bore that out. But essentially our pole box will go right there, and then we'll use this flex conduit. It'll go off of the pole box and down into there via a couple of these bad boys here. So all in all, those are the goodies we're going to use here, and we'll take the heat gun first and heat up this flex and make it a little bit straighter, so it's a little bit more where we want to be with it. So I probably won't show you that on the video, but I'll go ahead and take care of that. You'll know how I did it. Basically, I'm using a DeWalt heat gun, just like this, and yeah, should come out pretty nice. And then on the outside, we'll show you what's going on out there also. And excuse the condition of the shed. We've been super busy over here at Casa del Spillane. In case I haven't shown you yet, I actually got around to finally pouring this slab back here. I know it looks funky where the bottom stair was at, but we're going to be tiling all that. And anyways, should be a good time out here. We're going to add on to the shed, you guys. We're going to add on from about there over to over by the fence there, so we get some more work area and get some other implements going on. Okay, so before we get started on, the little install with the RV plug and all that, we'll just kind of go over a basic diagram of what that looks like. And basically, this is like your 110 volt or 220 it could be actually, depending on what you're up to and what controller system you're using. At any rate, it's your AC source, your alternating current power source, and that could be, from your home power, or your generator. Just really depends on how you want to go with that one. Then, of course, that's a three-legged type system. So you basically have your neutral on one side. I got this colored in as blue. It'd be your white wire basically, but I do have it colored in as blue because, well, I guess I got to change the background color, but I didn't. Then over here we got ground as green, okay, and then our line is black, and that kind of coincides with your most wires, I would say, and your RV cords or extension cords. You'd have your green is ground, and white is neutral, and your black is your line or your main power source. So basically, you're going to run your main power source first to a breaker. I highly recommend that. A breaker and a cutoff switch is not a bad idea ever. Anywhere from 15 to 30 amps is what I say, depending on what you're up to and your wire size especially. So, you don't want to like have a 30 amp breaker in there, and then have, 12 gauge wire or something of that nature. You'd be mismatched, and then essentially you could create like a fire hazard per se at that point if you didn't have another breaker down the line coming from your AC source. On my panel, you'll notice I have a 40 amp breaker there for the AC in. It's basically just a cutoff switch for me at this point, unless things are really going wrong. I plug mine right into my home panel, and it is in fact a GFCI breaker. And it's a 20 ampere actually, and I've got everything and all the wire sizes kind of rated for 20 amps all the way up through. In the video, you might see me use an orange extension cord. That was just to get things going really quick. I definitely switched over to a 10 gauge construction style cord for durability and wire size, proper thickness. Then anyways, from the after it leaves the breaker, your line is going to come on over here and just basically go to the line in on your AC in of your hybrid controller. And the same with the ground, and then the same with the neutral. It really is pretty straightforward. It can take a minute to get it all set up, though. Now, just because you're, say that your house or your generator, has a capability of 100 amps or 50 amps or 60 amps. You don't want to go that big. You want to size it appropriate to your wire size, because that's where things break down. You got to create everything in equal boundaries, and you'll be fine at that point. My controller, I set everything to 40 amps charging, and when it's charging a battery, it literally only draws about 12 and a half to 13 amps from the AC side. Like I said, my house is wired up with 20 amp breakers all the way through and wire size accordingly. So it, within a comfortable zone there. It's kind of pushing it, but it's definitely in a comfortable zone. Okay. So go ahead and take a screenshot of this and use it as you will. Okay, so it might be hard to see because it's dark outside, but I'm going to hook this up anyway. So I've got like my grounds coming in there from the line going to the inside. This is where I'm going to mount my RV receptacle. This is a 120 volt American style. On the right side, right there, the silver one, that is our line. Left side is neutral, which is a gold or brass one. And then the green is ground. And then over here, I've got my black is my line, white is my neutral, and then green is ground. So I've got two. I got my ground going up to there, connecting to this wire and the box. It is GFCI'd at the house, and so we'll get into that later. I'm going to go ahead and hook this up now and show you what it looks like. Okay, definitely running out of light here, but you can see I've got my green for ground, black for line, white for neutral, and we're just going to take it and oh, that actually works better without the light, actually. Yeah, maybe. Anyways, hope you guys can see this, but of course that's just going to tuck right up on in there into that box there, and then bada boom, bada bing. We'll come back to that. Okay, so we're running out of space on the ground bar, which is down here. This is in the Midnight E panel, the 3024 E panel, or I forget what it's called exactly. It's the MN. Anyways, it's like the MN200 DIY E panel or something like that. So the green bus bar back here, we're out of room on it the way they have it set up. And I want to run some, AC in for additional charging. Now, the thing that we can do though is, I remember, so this is the same basic configuration of like the Renogy 48 volt 3500 all-in-one controller and SRNE and Eco Worthy, and the list goes on. Watching one of Will's videos, he complained about there not being a ground right here for your AC out. When you have a proper circuit breaker panel, it doesn't matter, because this, all they did inside of here is, so this ground here, which is your AC in, right? So the AC in is basically grounded right to the chassis here. And then all they did to add another ground here is that they basically ran this ground here at this terminal right back to the chassis again. So essentially it's the same point of contact. So in order to free up a space here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect this one, okay, on our AC out. And I'm going to disconnect it here, because at the end of the day, for my AC out, which is basically this green wire here, this is my my ground coming over to, this little sub panel over here. It's going to be hooked up to the same ground as this. So everything's connected. It all goes to the same earth. So we're going to be fine with that little solution right there. And be mindful that another thing we can do here just to keep all of this intact. Now, I want to remind you that this is, if you need to keep this neutral, with this particular panel, your neutral to ground bond in place. I'm hooking, so, okay, let me back up. If you want to keep your neutral to ground bond in place, say you're using a generator that isn't bonded, but your panel is, and you've got your ground, your earth ground rod and all that installed, then you're going to want to keep inside of your panel the, your neutral earth ground intact. Now, if your generator has that and is grounded but to the earth, then you can eliminate that and we'll free up a spot again. Myself, I'm going to connect to the house. And it has the neutral to ground bond at the meter there. So instead of right now taking all of this out, which I would in a different picture, it doesn't matter, or different scenario, we're just going to unhook that for this particular video. And we're going to hook up to utility power and capture this ground right here. Okay. Okay, so, I've got the RV style 120 volt plug attached to the outside, and I've got my pole box in here like I was showing you. And then I pulled the wires through. I've got my green, my white, and my black. I'm going through some flex conduit, and then pretty much popping out like right, kind of hard to see in there. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit, adjust the light. So you can see like right up in here, I've got the green, the black, and the white kind of popping out from that conduit end, and then running over here. Now, I've got the white wire, which is my neutral. You can see like right here, I can wiggle that sucker around a little bit. it comes over. It's just attaching into the white bus bar. This is my neutral bus bar right here. Okay, and then I've got my green, which is right here. You can see it, wiggle it around. It's over there. Goes up into that conduit, comes around, and it's going right up into the green bus bar. And if you remember earlier, you know, that's where my neutral to ground bond was. But now that I'm connected to the house, which already has a neutral to ground bond, I can take this one out, which is what I did basically. I just removed it so that way we're not causing problems by having more than one neutral to ground bond. Now my live wire, the line for the 120, you can see it wiggle right there, comes on around. Now this box here is a little bit more sophisticated, I suppose you could say. Maybe overly complicated for the everyday user, but it goes to this line bus bar, and this line bus bar runs a few things. Okay, so we've got the everything hooked up. Basically, we've got everything hooked up, and right now I've got the AC off. I want to remind you that I do have AC power that is connected to the outside box and running to a cord inside of my house. It's just an extension cord for now until I do the generator. What's happening here, I got the AC off, which is basically, this is my AC in, so this would be, you know, either right now it's my mains from my house. It could also be the cutoff switch for, say, a generator, emergency circuit breaker switch. Batteries are on, PV panels are on right now. You can hear everything charging and I'm still on my original settings. Okay, so before we get going, we'll talk a little bit about the actual settings on this particular page. I'm going to show you a couple pages. This is going to be for what I call the orange inverter charger, which is the non-stackable units. Whether it be 24 or 48, it doesn't really matter for this particular application, but what we're going to do here is going to go over the two settings that I changed. Actually, it's only two, in order to run, like, you know, be able to start up a manually start up a generator and, you know, get things charging up. Say that you've had a short day, you only got a couple hours of sun, your batteries are running low, you want to work out in your shop or your shed or whatever the heck's going on in your house even. At that point, you know, using these settings, you can just go out and crank up the generator, flick the switch, boom, you're going to start charging your batteries, okay? You just got to be mindful of it and turn off the generator or your mains power supply when you're done. So basically, what we're up to here is, like, here at setting number 1, we want to come over here. I wonder if I can change that really quick. Let's see here. Go to there. Bold. Good. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is going to come on over to setting number 1, which is right here. I've got it highlighted for you. And you're going to change that from, I believe it was SOL before. If not, it doesn't matter what it was. You're going to change it to UTI now. Okay, and what that does, it allows the main or generator to be the priority, and on switching to PV only when the mains or generator is not available. So, like, if you don't have your generator on, basically, and you've got sun outside and your panels are collecting photons, you could just go about it like that. And then at nighttime, if you need to charge it up a little bit, you could start up the generator, turn your shut-off switch on or off, and call it good to go. On, preferably. And then you're also going to switch up number 6 here, setting number 6, and that is you're going to change it to CBU, and that allows the mains to be the primary source of power, and it uses your inverter in case of the mains failure, such as a power outage, or in this case, you know, like I was saying, like, it's just nighttime and your batteries are getting low. You can just crank up your generator and, you know, click that switch on, that, you know, your breaker switch or whatever you have in place for safety, coming from your generator or your mains into your all-in-one inverter. Okay, it actually is pretty simple at that point. I do recommend in the summertime, though, you switch these two settings back to your summertime settings. I just found it works a little bit easier, and it's really easy to do. So take a good screenshot of that, and that way you kind of know how to set it up. Those are really the only two I changed. I did lower my overall values to 40 amps for charging. That's just enough. That's all. 40 amps is enough. So let's go ahead and take a look at the other. Let's go down here. So if you want to look at the big brother of the orange ones and go to the white ones, which are the stackable units, you can, use them in parallel. You can stack them up. You can do split phase with them and all that. Basically, they have the same layout and a lot of the same parameters, just a different name. Again, you're going to be in setting 1, and you're also going to be in setting 6, or the two you're going to change. And you're going to change both of those to AC first. Now, I don't know why that's not changed out, but we're going to change that right now. AC first, okay? So both of those are going to get changed from their original settings, which this one was like PV first, and I think that one was also PV first. And you're going to change it to AC first, as in alternating current first. That allows your main to be your primary source of power, or your generator, or whatever's going on there. So if this is the all-in-one unit you have, take a good screenshot of that, and go get her set up. We'll go through those really quick, like. So my, summertime settings, if you want to call it that, basically, let me get a little bit more light here. That works. So my summertime settings, basically we're charging off of PV almost, exclusively at this point. It would have to, the way I've got it set up, the voltage of the batteries would have to drop down fairly significantly. So basically, let's go up. We've got, in our regular menu, we've got 1 as a SOL, 2 60 hertz, ups for 3, 4 is 21.8, 5 is 26.4, and 6 is OSO. Everything else is pretty much the same, except I adjusted my charger parameters to 40 amps tops, no matter which way it's coming from. That's a little different than my original video. But in order to utilize your generator, I think that the best setting is basically going to come down to 2 different parameters, and that's on setting number 1 and setting number 6. So setting number 1 is an output source priority, right? And what we're going to do is I'm going to go into here, go up, and we're going to go to SOL, and we're going to change it. And we're going to go, whoops, we're going to go into it. We're going to change it to UTI, okay? So from UTI, we're going to leave it there, and we're going to go on up the menu to number 6, and we're going to change that to CUB. So we're going to go here, CUB, and we're going to go enter again. Okay, so I'm dragging in power from my PV panels right now, but on the new settings, which, let's go back, just take a quick look so you know what I'm talking about. We've got the UTI for 1, and then on 6 we've got CUB, right? So we're going to come back out of there, and right now it's just charging with the PV panels, and we're pulling about 840 watts. Good day. I would rather use that than anything. Okay, let's say that, night times came, or it's a cloudy day, these PV panels aren't putting out much, and you wanted to go ahead and crank up the generator just to top the batteries off or whatever. So if you remember right, over here we had, the AC breaker down here. I've got it in the off position right now. That's connected to the house ultimately through my extension cord and my RV receptacle. A generator could be the same, but you would just basically have the generator running, would be my suggestion. And then once it's running and going, you go ahead and turn your AC breaker on. Go ahead and listen. Just turn the AC breaker on, okay? So we had another beep, and you can see that the AC just took over. It did a bypass. Okay, so now it's using for whatever you're powering in your shop, it will use the generator power. And also it's charging the battery at the same time. You can see by this little logo or whatever you want to call it right here, okay? So we kind of got things happening all the way around. Now, I should be charging the batteries at full force. We'll give it a minute because, there it goes. She's going to start charging now. You gotta wait a minute. The fans on these are usually kick on when it's charging time. So you gotta give it a minute. It doesn't happen right away. Now she's going, she's pumping it up, guys. It really is just as simple as a couple settings you want to switch over. And that way, you know, for me, I think in this scenario, I'll be doing like a summertime setting versus a wintertime setting. And it's just basically changing number 1 and number 6, okay? Oh yeah, you can see down here on the battery that I'm charging, it's pulling in 41 amps right now. I've got it set for 40 amps, but you know, it's a little wiggle room right there. So she's charging it up. We could check that a couple different ways. I've got this little clamp meter here. Let's get it over to DC. And yeah, this is not super accurate, but it's good enough for what we're doing. Let's go ahead and clamp it on there. Uh-oh. I think it honestly... Oh, I hit the AC there. Get it back, yeah. Now it's saying 43 on that one. Like I said, it's not super accurate, but you know, we'll take what we can get. So anyways, it's charging things up, and it's using the mains power, which could ultimately be your generator. You know, just mains and generator, it kind of looks at it the same as long as it's getting the 120 volts or 220 or however you got your system figured. It doesn't really recognize what's supplying the power. It's just looking at the signal of the power itself. So one thing I forgot to mention during the video that I kind of put this together to see how it works, and I've got a bunch of product coming in that I don't have in yet, but essentially what I would ultimately hooking this up, I would have an AC surge protector there. Right now I've got a GFCI at the mains panel, so I'm not worried about that, but if I was running it straight off my generator and it didn't have a GFCI, I would most definitely have one integrated somewhere. Then if not a GFCI, just a circuit breaker would be good, or better than nothing, you know, and a cutoff switch. Also, make sure that you got your neutral to ground worked out properly. You can only have one. If you have more than one, you can run into big problems, and especially with these controllers. Basically, if you have more than one neutral to ground in there, that voltage kind of, the amperage gets pretty high, and basically you could get yourself in real trouble out there. Okay, guys. Well, that about wraps it up, and basically, you know, we're running pretty good over here. I've been running mine on mains here for the last couple days, just kind of having some fun with it. And I also got some pretty big old batteries that I'm trying out right now. Some 24 volt, 200 amp hour batteries I'm trying to get charged up so I can do some load tests on them. So as opposed to draining my batteries, I figured I'd hook it up to mains and charge it up that way. So if you got any questions, you know, feel free to comment, reach out to me, whatever. If the link for my upcoming website and product line's not in the description, please check back. It'll be in the description soon or in the comments. And if there's stuff you need, I'd appreciate the support. Always willing to work for my support. Definitely don't want a free handout. And what we're doing is we're basically trying to be as budget friendly as we can on solar accessories. We're going to be carrying some Eco Worthy batteries, some other batteries also, and different things like bus bars, circuit breaker panels, custom stuff. We'll do it all. Okay. So at any rate, appreciate you guys, and tell you what, this solar business is pretty freaking awesome.